The Tampa Bay Buccaneers might have gotten the steal of the 2026 NFL Draft by landing Rueben Bain Jr. with the 15th overall pick. Bain was a polarizing prospect in this year's draft class, but the odds of him falling outside of the top 10 still felt incredibly slim before draft day. The 21-year-old became a superstar for Miami in 2025, earning consensus All-American honors with 9.5 sacks and 83 pressures during the Hurricanes' run to the national title game. Instead of focusing on Bain's sheer dominance at the college level, a lot of the national draft discourse surrounding the Miami Edge was about his lack of length and measurables. With sub 31-inch arms, Bain ranks in the first percentile among recorded edge prospects, and the lack of athletic testing painted an incomplete picture for some of the more skeptical draft analysts. However, Bain believers like myself weren't worried about the lack of measurables because the tape genuinely shows a dominant player that was worthy of being a top 10 pick. It's clear Bain expected to go top 10 as well based off his reaction to getting drafted, looking like he was ready to make the rest of the league regret passing on him on draft night. The Buccaneers landed the most intimidating player in college football this past season, and to show you what makes Bain so terrifying for opposing offenses, we're going to dive into a few of the college football playoff games from Miami's national title game run in today's episode of Best Available. Thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube and give us a follow on socials at BestAvailableYT. A huge shout out to all of our members who continue to support the channel. If you'd like to support the channel and consider becoming a member, I'll leave details to that in the episode description. It does come with full access to my live big board. We already have 8 prospects graded for 2027, so I'm about ready to release that, and I will send a notification to our members when that's ready to go. So again, consider supporting the channel with that. Let's go ahead and dive into Rueben Bain film, my favorite player from this year's draft class. We're going to go through 3 games of Bain's college football playoff run against Texas A&M, Ohio State, and IU in the national title game. And I want to show Texas A&M to start. It's the first playoff game, but also it's a really interesting context to add to the few plays that we're going to show from this game. This is from pretty deep in the game, this first clip we're going to show. We got Bain right here. This game was not going Bain's way. This is probably credit to the Aggies. One of the best jobs of a team handling Bain and containing him. It's a lot of chip help, a lot of double teams, a lot of focus, and some of the chips came with some nastiness, and they were, throwing Bain off balance. They really, hitting him hard. It's a low-scoring affair, and things are not going Bain's way. And what I appreciate from this is that Bain's effort never wavered, and I think that is a huge testament to the kind of player that he is. Micah Parsons said it best this offseason, talking about the truly productive pass rushers. Everyone wants to highlight those clips where they can get pressure or a sack within 2.5 seconds, right? But the majority of your production as a pass rusher just comes from effort plays. And this is a great example of one of those. Of just, again, late with the context of low scoring game, Bain's getting his ass kicked this whole game. We got a double team here, right? And then all of a sudden we got to pick up that blitz. So the tackle and the running back go to help. So Bain's finally one-on-one. And he's just going to work a counter move, rip through that. And at this point, it's been a second, right? And he's just still hustling, effort, scramble, finally gets a sack in this game. If you throw it all in one consecutive motion, you just see, again, Bain on the left side of the screen there. The effort it took just to get there. Just nice counter move to disengage, but then you still got to pursue. Marcel Reed is awfully springy and wiry and athletic in the pocket. And this had to be a huge sigh of relief for Bain, which a game where things aren't going your way. You can't just let go. In a situation where you see this double team too, so many pass rushers when things aren't going their way, at a lot of levels of football, will just kind of stand here and get stalemated, even with this tackle pulling off. But instead, Bain I just love that hand usage there too. I'll try and pause it again. Just as that tackle peels off on this double team, watch Bain's outside hand here get to that shoulder, and then he's going to rip through with the other hand. So right there. Hand usage to swipe away, and then he's going to use that inside hand, rip through. It's a really good move of his, effective, and that gives him the space to disengage and then pursue. And I just love that we're still seeing this kind of effort this deep into a game where things are not going Bain's way. At least to me, what makes me so excited about Ruben Bain is the fact that he is going to be a three-down player for you at edge. So many of the edge prospects we talked about in this class are more of designated pass rushers that you don't trust on the field in rundowns. But Bain, man, he's just so dominant at both against the run and the pass. And this is a great example of that. A play where he's not making anything super splashy, but what he's doing is so important to a defense. And you're going to see it here. We've just got to run to his direction. We're going to motion that tight end, motion him right back. And then we're just going to run this direction, and we're going to have that tackle engage with him. Tackle comes in with decent pad level. Don't love that he drops his eyes here. But Bain, you can see the base is pretty narrow, but his hips, he's sprung through those hips. He's going to explode through that. Then he's going to get extended, and just look at him widen that base and anchor down. He should be getting washed out this direction, right? But he is just getting extended, handling the point of attack, and not letting himself get washed out. And what that does for a defense, I know it's not the sexiest play, but what this is doing for a defense is by constricting this rushing lane, because if we have this out here and suddenly this rushing lane's this big, I mean, there's all kinds of plays this running back can take off from. But by constricting this rushing lane, this polar also has to go through, so we have that as a crowd. But then it allows all these second-level defenders to fill, and then backside to fill. In a smaller rushing lane, so the running back has fewer options to escape. And then Bain gets around that edge, and it ends up being a pile-up of epic proportions, all because Bain's just able to do that dirty work as an edge setter. And you hear set the edge so often. This is what that is. You cannot ask for better edge setting to not get washed out here, control that point of attack, let the rest of your defense catch up and corral this ball carrier. This is exactly what I'm asking for my edges. This is a great example of Bain being able to convert speed to power, but also a good example of why his lack of length doesn't matter because of how developed his hand usage is. We've got him from the super wide alignment, right? And he's not really a speed rusher, but he is going to convert that speed to power on this rush as we roll this. So he's going to get off. Great get off there. Good explosiveness. You can see it's forcing the offensive tackle to gain depth, get those shoulders turned just to catch up with Bain from that wide alignment. It's always a tough pass set. You're asking a lot from your offensive tackles to handle, dominant pass rushers from wide alignments. So this tackle's doing the best he can to get that depth, but suddenly, instead of parallel to the line of scrimmage, his shoulders are perpendicular. Bain feels that, and then I love where his hand is placed right there. You're controlling the point of attack when you have your arm right here on that shoulder, because with how powerful he is in his upper body and how advanced his hand usage is, once he gets here, this offensive tackle can't get extended or move this arm, right? So suddenly, where this tackle thinks he might be able to get hands inside of Bain and control the situation, Bain is the one controlling it. You can still see that big white glove right there handling this, and then that's where Bain converts that speed to power, gets extended, and then you can see that leg drive, man, like just churning those legs away to get to the quarterback. I will rewind this and show it again, but you just got to watch that power. Look at his stance. Look at how he's spring-loaded on the tops of his feet. Watch this get off here. No false stepping. Instant explosion there. And then, again, watch the hand usage, and then just watch how he not only controls this point of attack, but just drives those legs with great power. Right there, getting fully extended, keep driving those legs. So many guys at the point of attack will get engaged, do all the right things up to that point of attack, but they won't bring their feet with them. They'll just kind of stand there. Bain's lower half is so thick. It's ridiculous. That's why people think he could play D-tackle. And plays like this where the leg drive's happening kind of show you what we're talking about there. I'll show it one more time. It's such a ridiculous pass rush here. There are so few edge prospects over the last few years that are just as good of run defenders as Bain. This is a great example of that. A lot of run defense just requires discipline and effort, and this is a great example of that. We're going to have this outside zone look, and this tackle is going to try and reach and keep Bain out of this gap. So as we roll this with that outside zone, Bain feels that, and he's just like, listen, come hell or high water, I am holding this specific gap. If I cut inside, this linebacker is not going to have the chance to get by. But if I hold this gap, this linebacker has a much shorter path to fill a gap. So Bain feels this, and you can tell this is where I love what he does. That effort of going like, listen, I'm not really controlling this point of attack with technical refinement. I'm just going to get my shoulder turned, just haul ass into that gap. Just keep hauling ass with a guy blocking me. And then he has the power to meet that ball carrier while getting blocked, wrap him up, and then what's he do? He keeps driving those legs that he just keeps rolling, and then the rest of the team eventually catches up. He throws that offensive lineman off of him. This is one of my favorite plays in all of Bain's tape, and it might not be the most exciting because he's not getting a big pressure or anything, but to do this while a guy is blocking you is just ridiculous power. I talked about this with Trevor Sikkema yesterday on the channel. If you want to go check that out, we reviewed the entire Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft. But when we talked about Rueben Bain, Trevor brought up a great point about how technically refined both Bain and Akeem Mesidor are. And a large part of that is because who was their coach on the defensive line for the Miami Hurricanes? It was none other than Miami Dolphins great Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. You can tell it's becoming like a master class of going to Miami and becoming a true edge rusher. And I cannot wait for other kids to come out of Miami as long as Jason Taylor is there, because these guys are just so polished at this level. You're going to see Bain right here. He's going to attack the guard. And as we run this, I just love that he knows how to use a blocker's momentum against them. So he's going to like stutter step, almost like try and cross up the guard, and then he's going to get hands on him. And what I love here, misses the swipe. So because he gets that offensive guard to whiff on the swipe, he's going to feign inside, and the guard's going to think, oh crap, I missed my hands. I've got to get back here to recover and get inside. And Bain knows that's what he wants to do. So he uses his momentum and just throws him the other way. And that gets the guard on his ass, and then Bain gets the sack. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. Jason Taylor has developed some of the 2 first-round pass rushers in one single draft class because of stuff like this. This is great awareness to understand your physical gifts, but also what the opponent's trying to do to you. To immediately swipe away that hand usage, know that he's trying to recover inside, swipe again, get released, get the sack. This is advanced stuff that's going to make Bain a pro-ready starter right away. We just talked about it, but I just love how technically refined Bain is when it comes to hand usage as a pass rusher. Because it can be really hard to tie all of your physical tools together while thinking about technique. And this is just a great example of that. We are waiting for that offensive lineman to strike, right? This left tackle, as soon as he commits, we're going to have a counter move against it. That's what we're trying to do. As soon as he swipes there, you can see he's attacking this outside hand. He's going to attack it, rip it off of him, and then just swipe down, and he's going to get an instant quick pressure because of it. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about with Bain, like just advanced class. There's that strike. We know we're trying to attack this outside hand, get it off of us, attack the wrist, get a free rush. Like, this is how you get quick pressures. I know at the beginning of the video we talked about, a lot of your pressures come from high effort plays, but when you can do this, it's really nice to get pressure this quickly. And Bain can just do that with such ease. Another thing I just love with Rueben Bain, man, for like a 275, 280-pound edge rusher, he should not be able to bend like this. When I'm talking about bend, it's like tightening that path, right? An offensive tackle wants to get you a path behind the quarterback. But when you can get your path and then, engage with the tackle and then just tighten that path, it makes the angle so much easier to get to quarterbacks, but it really requires really like awkward angles for a pass rusher. This is such a good example of that. So we're going to swipe those hands again. You're going to see he's dipping under it. And then look at that. Look at this angle. From his ankles. Like, just this angle with his legs is ridiculous for a guy of his size. That's a lot of pressure you're putting on your lower body to take this kind of path and angle to the quarterback. When I think of Ben, I always think of, Von Miller with those ghost moves and stuff, but Bain is a giant compared to Von Miller. And to have that kind of bend at his size, I know it ends up, not getting a sack, but as pressure rushes the process of the quarterback, he just has to get that ball out. But when you get to see that kind of path from a pass rusher Bain size, that's got to be straight up terrifying to see. You think you're safe from a guy like this, and then suddenly, he's tightening that path, full head of steam coming down at you, as a quarterback. That's pretty scary. All right, this time Bain is off screen from that wide alignment. I love that my yellow pen is matching. So down this way, getting caught in that logo. As we roll this, so you can see him now left side of the screen. Gets a pressure here. Just look at that bend again. It's going to show up in a pretty absurd way. He's ripping through that. Again, we got this weird angle getting through there. The effort here too. Like, now all of a sudden he's got a blocker on his back. He's tightens that path, gotten that hoop. And then he's just like full effort getting blocked in the back. Like, listen, I'm at least going to get a hand on this quarterback. He is horizontal to the ground at this point, but he's going to attack and wrap those shoestrings, and eventually the rest of the offensive line is going to catch up. Ball ends up being complete. It's a hell of an effort there. But what I love is just the effort there, along with the bend. Like, again, a guy this big should not be moving like this. But man, to just get there and just the effort, like I'm falling and losing my control, but I'm at least going to disrupt this quarterback by any means necessary. Those are the kind of players an NFL coach wants in his locker room. We just want elite effort. Like that's great bend to tighten that angle. A bigger guy might struggle and decelerate and get blocked in the back, get pushed over, or just get ridden behind the quarterback. Not Bain, man. He's going to take the toughest angle possible for a guy of that size and then still get to the, feet of the quarterback. Moving on to the national title game against Indiana, and I am an IU grad, but I've got all the respect in the world for that Miami defense, man. Like, for an offense for IU that seemed to coast in the later end of the season, really was firing on all cylinders. Miami did give them fits at times, and it's because of players like Rueben Bain. But I want to make sure I give a shout out to the entire defense because, man, I just love their physical brand of football. This is a great example of effort as a run defender, again, from Bain, kind of like the Ohio State game. We're going to have a run his way. You're going to feel that pin and pull. So we've got, two offensive linemen pulling into space. Bain immediately feels that. They're trying to crack down with a tight end. And he's just like, nah, I'm going to keep working back outside. And then I'm going to burst through, take a good pursuit angle, get to the ball carrier. You've got to have quick instincts to feel that pin and pull as an edge because when you're getting cracked down like here and you're prepared to just either take on a double team, engage with this tackle, maybe this guy's going in space, to feel that crack down and then quickly react to it to get outside of it. That's a little trickier than you might think, but I just love the instincts from Bain. Immediately feels it, immediately swipes over to catch that tight end off balance, and then that's just pure pursuit. And he's got some more pursuit speed than you'd expect for a guy that big. Plays like this one where we got Bain on the interior and more of a 4-eye alignment are why I could imagine that some NFL teams were like, we could kick him inside to D-tackle because he can do stuff like this. You're about to see some not only impressive anchor and lower body strength, but the balance to not get knocked off here. He's taking a pretty brutal double team here. He's going down on one knee to just widen his base, anchor down against that double team. They're sliding him off his spot a little bit, but look how low he is. Look at that base. And then watch him just stay upright here. He's suddenly horizontal, but he is still on his feet. And you can see his arm right there, close to the face mask, but he is getting extended, trying to hold that point of attack long enough. He finally gets upright because he's winning with extension, and then he gets to the ball carrier. I'll show that all in one motion. I still can't believe he does this. Let me rewind it, and then I'll highlight him so you can actually see this in one motion. So we've got him right here. Watch him take on that double team, stay upright, make that play. That ability, so many dudes on the interior, especially an edge kicking inside, are just getting pancaked and getting knocked over. But Bain has this rare body type play strength combination and athleticism, fluidity, balance, all of that. Where not only does he effectively anchor against the double team, but he stays upright, gets extended, and makes the tackle. This is insane stuff. High school coaches are going to love this one. You'd always talk with your defensive players about engaging a block, tying your hips with your hands. And what that means is we don't want to just get our hands extended and then walk up to a guy, right, and then just put hands on him. What we want to do is we want to launch with the hips as we're engaging. It's going to generate force, and then we want to be able to get fully extended and then be able to rip off. By getting fully extended, we can control this point of attack, more easily rip off the block and make a play. You're going to see teach tape of that from Rueben Bain right here. So off the snap, you can see his hips are loaded a little bit. He's losing low man, but then all of a sudden you can see that lurch, that launch to unspring his hips, uncoil them to get extended, and then he's getting lower, widening his base, using that extension to his advantage, and then ripping off that block to meet the ball carrier near the goal line, no less. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about with teach tape. Just watch him uncoil those hips with the extension. I'll show it again. It's really subtle, but if you watch it in one motion, you'll just see how it doesn't look like he's getting that low, but his hips are spring-loaded to engage that point of attack right there. And then he's extended, then he's meeting that ball carrier. It's a crucial play near the goal line, man. I think if he's not making this play, the running back has enough momentum that they're probably going to lunge forward at contact into the end zone from another defender. But I mean, as a former coach, having to coach outside linebackers and inside linebackers on how to engage blocks, I could watch this for days and days and days as far as teach tape on how to, we call it shock and shed when engaging a block. I needed to show this angle because of the wide alignment and just the camera. It's hard to see from the end zone angle of what we're seeing here from Bain, but watch here. Love the explosiveness off the snap, but then we're just going to, rip through the offensive lineman's strikes. The offensive lineman's going to get extended here. We're going to attack that outside hand, and then we're going to rip under it, and then we're just going to run the hoop and show effort. So you can see that, the offensive tackle's resetting his hands, and Bain's just using his inside hand to just rip through that, not worry about that, get the leverage he needs, lean on that guy a little bit to get to the pocket unimpeded, and then he's going to run that hoop and just chase Mendoza down. Love the effort there. That is just excellent work. Do whatever it takes to get to the quarterback sometimes. It's not always pretty. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But he consistently has just such good hand usage for an edge. Just attacking that all the way. This is why the length doesn't matter to me, is because he's so proficient as a pass rusher of timing up that strike, using his strength to his advantage, and consistently disengaging as an offensive lineman tries to get engaged with him. And then he can just be a productive pass rusher like this. Dominant game from Rueben Bain. No Miami loses, but he was a force to be reckoned with, throughout the national championship. I still can't believe he fell to 15 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rueben Bain is going to be a steal. I said before the draft, if I had to pick one player I think is going to have a Hall of Fame career out of this draft class, I toyed with Caleb Downs, but to me it's Rueben Bain. I just think he's going to be such a dominant 3-down player. And I feel like too often we forget about how important it is for prospects to be able to also play the run. Boy, does Bain do that, along with all the different kinds of stuff he can do as a pass rusher. I think this is a special player that Tampa Bay got when they really needed for their scheme. I love the fit with Todd Bowles. I love his fit with the personnel they already have on defense, along with the rookies they added. This is going to be a really scary defense over the next few years. Can't wait to see it. What do you think about the Rueben Bain selection? Let me know in the comments. We'll be back with our Packers rookie preview tomorrow on Chris McClellan, the defensive tackle out of Missouri. We're also going to do a Jeremiah Smith video this week. I think it's time to dive into the tape of what might be the greatest wide receiver prospect in a while. So can't wait to share that with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're not already, and we will see you next time.